So now it's more important that even in the school and in the university, we teach our students to work on authentic problems, the kinds of problems they're likely to face in the real world. Where would you rank yourself on knowledge of AI? Just curious. आपका अपना subjective opinion. आप अपने आप को लो समझते हैं, हाई समझते हैं, somewhere in the middle? कितने लोग अपने आप को लो समझते हैं AI की knowledge में? As you are learning, you may make lots of mistakes if you rely on AI too much. So you must be very careful when you are learning about a thing and also using AI at the same time. So the last session is becoming AI proof, practical wisdom. AI proof इस तरह के AI हो भी तब भी आप fully functional हो, ठीक है, और आपकी वैल्यू हो, आपकी रेलेवेंस हो. तो इस पर किताबें भी लिखी गई हैं, जैसे एक दो किताबें मैंने नीचे लिखी हुई हैं जो कि शो करती हैं कि in this age of increasingly capable machines and algorithms, how can we still be useful? And the general idea is AI can make routine knowledge codified, but it cannot make the tacit knowledge, the embedded, embodied knowledge and the contextual knowledge codified. तो कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जिनका ताल्लुक सिर्फ आपसे है. मैंने कल कहा था कि you have an embodied self, आप एक जगह पैदा हुए, आपकी एक हिस्ट्री है, तो वो आपका पर्सपेक्टिव सिर्फ आप ही दे सकते हैं. तो वो अपनी पर्सनैलिटी डेवलप करना और अपने हालात और अपनी कैपेबिलिटीज़ को लेकर कुछ क्रिएटिव करना, वो यूनिकली आपका रोल है और वो आप दुनिया को तोहफा दे सकते हैं. E.F. Schumacher said, "We are now far too clever to be able to survive without wisdom." मतलब हम इतने क्लेवर हो गए हैं कि अब विजडम ज़रूरी है, वरना हमारी क्लेवरनेस का बहुत अब नुकसान हो सकता है. ठीक है, E.F. Schumacher का किसी ने नाम सुना है? आप उनकी किताब पढ़ रहे हो तो ये इनफैक्ट आज का कोट नहीं है, ये 1970s का कोट है. तो आज की टेक्नोलॉजी तो उस वक्त से बहुत ज़्यादा एडवांस कर गई है, तो विजडम इसीलिए आजकल और भी बहुत ज़्यादा उसकी ज़रूरत है. सो द टेक्नोलॉजी इज़ मूविंग एट अ एक्सपोनेंशियल स्पीड, बट आवर एबिलिटी टू मेक सेंस ऑफ द कम्प्लेक्सिटी इज़ नॉट कीपिंग track or keeping pace with it. So there is a wisdom gap. This wisdom gap can be addressed by focusing on fundamentals, context, history, first principles, developing our capacity and foundation, and learning about morals, virtue, and by making mistakes and going through the learning process and having experience. And once you have that, then you will see that even though the things they change very rapidly, still many things remain the same. Okay, so that's why wisdom allows you to have a stable base. Just some contradictions we see with AI. So I'm showing you 3 contradictions. कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन को आयरनी भी कहा जाता है, इस पे पेपर लोगों ने लिखा हुआ है. आयरनी का मतलब ये है कि आप एक चीज़ एक काम के लिए करते हैं पर उसका ऑपोजिट भी हो जाता है और उसके अंदर पैराडॉक्सेस हैं. मिसाल के तौर पे स्कूल्स जो हैं शुरू में वो बैन कर रहे थे एआई को टोटली, बट व्हेन द स्टूडेंट्स ग्रेजुएट द इंडस्ट्री वांट्स पीपल टू यूज़ एआई. So there is this contradiction which an author called June-July contradiction. जून को एग्ज़ाम है, एग्ज़ाम में AI नहीं इस्तेमाल कर सकते. जुलाई में जॉब है, जॉब वाले कहते हैं AI का एक्सपीरियंस है, तो कहाँ से एक्सपीरियंस आएगा? एक्सपीरियंस का भी पैराडॉक्स, विजडम का पैराडॉक्स ये है कि वो एक्सपीरियंस रिक्वायर करता है, वो गलतियाँ करके आता है. ठीक है, तो ये पहला कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन है कि there is a mismatch between workplace and universities. The second thing is the rich gets richer contradiction. We think with technology we are helping the poor, but we are helping the rich more, and therefore the difference becomes even more. This is called the Matthew effect. ठीक है, इस पे किताबें भी लिखी हुई हैं। इसको कहते हैं द रिच गेट्स रिचर, ठीक है। वी सी इट वेरी मच इन कैपिटलिज्म के जो लोग रिच होते हैं दे कैन रेक द सिस्टम ऑन to their benefit, and they can become richer and richer, and the poor become poorer and poorer. With and without contradiction का मतलब ये है कि वही लोग AI को बेहतर इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं जो AI से पहले भी ज़्यादा जानते थे। मिसाल के तौर पे अगर मैंने कोई रिसर्च आर्टिकल लिखना है तो मैं AI का बेहतर इस्तेमाल कर सकता हूँ आपसे। उसकी वजह ये है कि I've written papers before AI was there. So I know how papers are written. I know if it makes a mistake, how to correct it. I know how to critique it. I know how to give it suggestions. You don't know all of that. And therefore, you will not be in a good position to critique AI. And if multiple people use AI, all of your work will look the same. Your own creativity will not emerge. Right? So this is the with and without contradiction. The people who are best positioned to benefit from Gen AI. Gen AI, पता है आपको क्या है? Generative AI. It's a special kind of an AI. ChatGPT is an example of a Gen AI. So those of us who are better positioned to benefit from Gen AI are those who were already better off without Gen AI. तो ये इसी से रिलेटेड है, रिच गेट्स रिचर इफेक्ट। वो पहले से रिच थे, इससे और रिच हो जाएंगे। सो दिस इज द सोशो टेक्निकल डायलेमा ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, दैट ऑलवेज यू हैव दिस मैथ्यू इफेक्ट। इससे इनइक्वालिटीज इमर्ज करती हैं। Okay, some things that were already discussed in academia, they've become more important now. For example, even before Gen AI, people were acknowledging कि हम जैसे पढ़ाते हैं वो इतना अच्छा सिस्टम नहीं है। हम स्कूल में स्टूडेंट्स को पढ़ाते हैं for a toy world, we teach them using problems that are very different from what they will experience in the real world, right? So now it's more important that even in the school and in the university, we teach our students to work on authentic problems, the kinds of problems they're likely to face in the real world. Real world problems क्यों मुश्किल हैं स्कूल में कराने? Can you guess? स्कूल में हम क्यों नहीं real world problems पे फोकस करते? क्यों हम easy problems पे फोकस करते हैं? कोई वजह होगी उसकी? आपके ख्याल में स्कूल में क्यों नहीं हम करते? जी, ऐसे है कि असल में इशू ये है कि रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम्स जो होते हैं वो एम्बिगुअस होते हैं, कॉम्प्लेक्स होते हैं, पुअरली डिफाइंड होते हैं। और जब हम क्लासरूम में करते हैं हमारे प्रॉब्लम्स एब्स्ट्रैक्टेड होते हैं। एब्स्ट्रैक्टेड का मतलब होता है कि रियल लाइफ की जो रियलनेस है वो हटा दी गई है। So the thing I was mentioning, abstraction का मतलब होता है कि रियल लाइफ के अंदर हर बंदा यूनिक है। अगर मैं सोचूंगा ह्यूमन बीइंग एक ही किस्म का है तो मैंने एक एब्स्ट्रैक्ट मॉडल बना दिया, जिसका मतलब है कि आपकी यूनिकनेस और आपकी रियलिटी को मैंने हटा के सबको एक ही तरह का कर दिया। तो जो रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम्स हैं वो कॉम्प्लेक्स हैं, उनके अंदर कम्प्लेक्सिटी है, उनके अंदर यूनिकनेस है। हम उसको जनरलाइज करते हैं थ्रू एब्स्ट्रैक्शन। अच्छा, कल के लेक्चर से हमने ये डिस्कस किया था ईदर और बोथ एंड। हमने कहा था एक कन्वर्जेंट है, एक डाइवर्जेंट है। हमने रिडक्शनिज्म की बात भी की थी और हमने कहा था रिडक्शनिज्म हैज़ इट्स ओन प्लेस। इसी तरह एब्स्ट्रैक्शन इज़ वेरी यूज़फुल, क्योंकि एब्स्ट्रैक्शन से हम बहुत सारी चीज़ों को एक साथ स्टडी कर सकते हैं। लेकिन मसला कहाँ होता है? जहाँ हम कहें कि हमारी एब्स्ट्रैक्शन इज़ द सेम एज द रियल वर्ल्ड और हर चीज़ यही है बस। ठीक है, तो हम जो डिस्कस कर रहे हैं मल्टीप्लेक्सिटी में वो ये है कि एब्स्ट्रैक्शन का अपना रोल है, उसको ज़रूर इस्तेमाल करें टू थिंक एब्स्ट्रैक्टली, टू थिंक जनरली, बट वी ऑल्सो मस्ट थिंक अबाउट द कम्प्लेक्सिटी इन इट्स यूनिकनेस। तो वो मैंने आपको किताब की रेफरेंस दी थी, मास्टर एंड द एमिसरी, और उसके अंदर ब्रेन के 2 हेमिस्फेयर की डिस्कशन थी। तो जो राइट हेमिस्फेयर है वो यूनिकनेस में चीज़ों को देखता है, कॉन्टेक्स्ट में चीज़ों को देखता है, इन ऑल ऑफ इट्स कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी देखता है, उसकी हिस्ट्री के साथ देखता है। ऑन दी अदर हैंड लेफ्ट हेमिस्फेयर जो है वो चीज़ों को एब्स्ट्रैक्शंस में देखता है, रिप्रेजेंटेशंस में देखता है, ठीक है। और ये फ़र्क है इसमें। ओके, सो वी वर डिस्कसिंग दैट वी टिपिकली यूज़ simpler problems in the classroom because it's simply too complex to deal with all of the unique cases. And also, in the real life, things are not as clearly defined. When we are teaching a subject of, let's say, maths, we create the problem that is relevant to our topic because we have to go in a gradual fashion. But in the real world, there are no problems like this is a problem of chapter 11 and this is a problem of chapter 12. There you have a big mess. And firstly, you need to construct the problem yourself that you can then solve. Therefore, we will call a performance task, problem or project to be authentic if it is realistic. Okay, so we were talking about authentic problem solving, and I mentioned how due to necessity in the classrooms, it is very hard to describe things in its complexity. As a teacher, when I'm teaching a subject to students, if I teach things in all of its complexity to my students, they will be at sea. They will not understand anything. So for practical purposes, we need to break down things into smaller portions. Okay, but the important thing is now many of those small things can be done by AI, and we can now focus on looking at things in their complexity. So there are educators who are recommending that within the school we do project-based learning, and the project-based learning would be called authentic if it is realistic, which means it is like the real world. You look at a real case in all of its complexity, in all of its uniqueness, and you teach your students to solve 1 or 2 problems like that. Another thing is that a problem or a project is authentic if it requires judgment and innovation. So my question to you, those of you who attended yesterday, judgment and innovation, is it a convergent problem or a divergent problem? In other words, is it a polarity or a problem? Is it something that you can just have an AI answer in one go for you? No, it's not like that. Judgment requires you to look at multiple things. Okay? Innovation in a similar fashion requires creativity and combining multiple perspectives, just like I gave you that example of the book Creativity, which describes how creativity is the combining of opposing characteristics. Innovation requires you to think in an iterative manner. Similarly, judgment is not a one-off thing that you can get from an AI. So people are saying, experts say that AI is good at calculation, it's not good at judgment. Human beings are good at judgment because we have criteria for judgment. Now, you may say that AI can be asked to emulate judgment. That is true. But in a true sense, if we are trained in a good manner, we would have better judgment than AI. So, ideally, a good education trains you for judgment as part of your education. So you're not just solving problems in your classroom, you are also doing some calculations and you're also exercising your judgment. So judgment requires you to look at things in a socio-economic manner as well, to look at things in a balanced manner where you have multiple competing objectives. It also engages the learner in doing the subject, not just learning about the subject. It replicates or simulates real-world contexts. And this is the key idea. Open-ended versus closed-ended. This is very much related to convergent and divergent. Convergent is, it is closed-ended because there is one thing at the end. Convergent, everything converges to one. Divergent is open-ended. The real world is open-ended. It's complex and it's open-ended. It requires judgment. So we should train people especially on divergent problems because this is where they exercise creativity and judgment. It does not put artificial constraints on opportunities to practice, consult resources, obtain feedback, and refine performance. So in your classroom, often we have an exam already in mind and we say you should not go and ask that person, you should not check a book and things of this sort. In the real life, there is no such constraint. You have to tackle a project, you can use all your resources. So this book, Understanding by Design, talks of authentic education as one in which you are learning like you would actually be doing a real life project. There are no artificial constraints. Now thinking about what would educating for wisdom look like, firstly we need to know that wisdom is not more and more data. These days we have something called big data. No matter how big your data is, it's not the same as wisdom. In fact, information is at a different level than data. Data is at the bottom level. Then knowledge, then understanding. Wisdom is at the apex, at the peak. So this is what we want to train people for. It requires understanding of the historical, social, cultural context. It cannot be completely codified, programmed into logic, mathematics, models, or code. It requires critical thinking, knowing the context, knowing the limitations of your methods, ability to perform, engage in informed judgment. Judgment is not the same as calculation. Calculation is algorithmic. It is a single answer. It's close-ended. Judgment is divergent. It's open-ended. It's something you have to think about always. Okay, knowing the limit of your knowledge. This is interesting. It turns out that there are many people who don't know anything about a subject, but they think they are very well learned. This is called Jahal Murakkab. Two ignorances on top of one another. The first ignorance is they do not know, and they do not know that they do not know. This is very dangerous. Jahl Basit is the simple Jahl where you do not know, but you know that you do not know. This thing is treatable. You can go to someone and learn. But Jahl Murakkab is you do not know that you do not know. So the first thing is to know that you do not know and go and learn. This effect is also called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is a term, this refers to two psychologists who noticed this empirically, that often people who are novice कहते हैं नए बिल्कुल जो लोग सीख रहे हैं किसी चीज़ को, they are not aware of their limitations. People who use ChatGPT for the first time, they get a very good answer. They have highly inflated opinion of ChatGPT. They don't know the limitation of the tools. So wisdom requires us to go from Jahl Murakkab to Jahl Basit to Ilm and eventually to Hikmah. There's something called AI literacy, which means learning how AI is built and how you can use it and what are the pitfalls and how you can avoid those pitfalls. Pitfall का मतलब क्या होता है? जैसे गाड़ी चला रहे हैं, सड़क पर खड्डा है तो उसमें आप नहीं जाएंगे ना, उसको अवॉइड करना चाहेंगे. इसी तरह लर्निंग के भी पिटफॉल्स हैं, उसको अवॉइड करना चाहिए. तो वो उसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि you know what the pitfalls are. Holistic thinking, we have mentioned it in our lectures. We have talked of both and thinking. It's also called dialogic thinking. डायलॉजिक का मतलब है दो लोग आपस में डायलॉग कर रहे हैं, जैसे सोक्रेटिस के डायलॉग थे, वो उसको डायलेक्टिकल थिंकिंग भी कहते हैं. दिस इज यूज्ड टू अनकवर द ट्रुथ ऑफ समथिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स. We must also use AI purposefully, and one important thing I'd like to stress is that subject matter understanding is very vital, which means you must spend some time to become an expert in a field, and then you would be in a good position to use AI. But as you are learning, you may make lots of mistakes if you rely on AI too much. So you must be very careful when you are learning about a thing and also using AI at the same time. Why expertise is still necessary in the AI era? We require both AI knowledge and the real subject matter knowledge. So you can think of two domains. The first domain is knowledge of AI. Where would you rank yourself on knowledge of AI? Just curious. आपका अपना subjective opinion. आप अपने आप को low समझते हैं, high समझते हैं, somewhere in the middle? कितने लोग अपने आप को low समझते हैं AI की knowledge में? कितने लोग medium समझते हैं? high जो AI पढ़ाते हैं वो तो high है, हाँ. So AI की नॉलेज में होगा कैसे AI है क्या चीज़, कैसे बनाया जाता है, उसकी क्या लिमिटेशंस हैं. इसी तरह आप जिस फील्ड में AI का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, मिसाल के तौर पे आप इंजीनियरिंग में इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, आप लिटरेचर में इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, आप इकोनॉमिक्स में इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, तो उस फील्ड की भी नॉलेज होनी चाहिए. आप जर्नलिज्म में इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं तो उस फील्ड की नॉलेज भी होनी चाहिए. सो बेस्ड ऑन दिस वी कैन हैव 4 quadrants, right? Low, 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 high, high, low, high, high. So if you are low in both knowledge of the domain and knowledge of AI, you are going to suffer because you are a newbie and you would not know what AI is giving you, if it is trustworthy or not. If you have lots of knowledge of AI but low knowledge of the domain, you might think that you are using AI expertly and therefore what you're getting is correct, but because you don't have the subject matter knowledge, you won't be able to properly vet the information. But if you have high domain knowledge, even with low level of AI, you can use it well because you know exactly how the answer will likely look like. For example, as a professor, I often have a vision in mind what a research paper I'm trying to look like should look like. So I can then very quickly guide the AI with a prompt to write something like that. So this is the expert's advantage. And you can get truly elite performance. A person doing the work of 100 people or 1,000 people, if you have both the domain level knowledge and high level of knowledge of AI, then you will become a one-man army. Because previously you might have required many students, many juniors to assist you, but now you can have agents working for you. Those are virtual AI agents. And there are specific tools you have or you can develop to help you. So the main point is that we must first of all develop the knowledge domain, the domain level knowledge. And there is a trade-off. We saw the learning and performance trade-off. If you prematurely depend on AI, you might bypass your learning. This is also called disincentives, which means for every learner, there is now an incentive to just rely on AI and not do the hard work. The benefit of the teacher, the job of the parent is to make the children do the hard work because it will help them later on. Okay, another key idea, remember this part is about becoming robot proof. So a famous quote of Picasso is that computers are useless, they only give you the answers. So I would say computers are not totally useless. Answers are important as well, but answers are the starting point of a research process. You get an answer, you must now have more questions to take the journey forward. You must think of learning as an open-ended thing. Okay, so you should learn an open-ended, curiosity-inspired approach. Learn about research. This is what researchers do. We don't ever think of something as a finished thing. If a student comes to me with a very good report, we will always say, well done, but it can be improved. Knowledge is like an island and you can always expand it more. We're always like at the periphery of the island, and once we reach there, more questions emerge and you can try to learn more. So we must adopt an open-ended approach, and an open-ended approach must be accompanied by good questions, because questions open up new fields of inquiry. This is a book related to this, which says that one good question can give rise to several layers of answers. It can inspire decades-long searches for solutions. It can generate whole new fields of inquiry and can prompt changes in entrenched thinking. Answers, on the other hand, often end the process. So the idea is we should take this open-ended approach rather than the closed-ended approaches, because ihsan, you remember, is an open-ended thing. It's a pursuit. It's not an arriving. It's, in words of Allama Iqbal, Zauq-e-Safar. And the fact that there is no maqam, your maqam is after every maqam. Keep on traveling, creating better and better things, improving more and more. This is called the dialectical process. Question, answer, and expanding frontiers of knowledge. Okay, we're nearing the end. So I wrote a couple of papers in which we emphasize that AI has an inverted focus. Machine intelligence में focus machine पे है, पर we should be more focused on human intelligence and augmenting and expanding it more. So what are the laws of human intelligence augmentation? So the first law is you should be no worse than AI. So if AI is accessible, you should be no worse than AI. Matlab, there is no excuse of doing very poor work or writing a very poorly worded essay. You can always just get an idea of a so-so thing from something like AI. But then you should not limit yourself to it. Because if you just copy the same thing and everyone just copies the same thing, you are just an imitation of the AI. You must use it to start a process. Ask questions, make suggestions, improve it more. So you must have a competitive advantage, not limit yourself to what the AI is saying. The last thing is, this is the paradox, that if you do not exercise anything, your muscle weakens. So you must not allow your thinking muscle to weaken. So you must exercise your thinking, use AI, then exercise your thinking again in a dynamic process. Some of these laws, they have tensions, which means you must balance them. Here, if you rely on AI too much, embrace change and leverage AI. If you just do this, your thinking will suffer. So here is the balancing act, that use AI, but also ensure that your thinking remains alive. We probably have some teachers as well. So Human Intelligence Augmentation Educators Edition. The first thing is, do not structure your use of AI around the AI, but around the student and around the student-teacher relationship. Okay, make your education human-centered. What we can use AI for is to provide rapid formative feedback. Formative feedback नाम सुना है आप लोगों ने? Formative feedback होता है ऐसा feedback जिसका मकसद है students की learning को improve करना. एक feedback होता है judgmental, उसको हम कहते हैं summative. अगर हम कहें you are 80 out of 100, you are 90 out of 100, you are 50 out of 100, तो ये बस जज हमने कर दिया, लेकिन इसमें स्पेसिफिक फीडबैक नहीं है on how the 50 can become 90 and how the 90 can become 99 and how the 80 can become 90. तो formative feedback होता है where we give feedback which helps the learner learn how they can improve. So depending on how you prompt the AI, you can get formative feedback. तो ये depend करता है कि आप चाहते क्या हैं. आपको पता होना चाहिए आप क्या चाहते हैं. You must know what good teaching is, and then you can ask AI for help. You must teach your students how to correct the errors of the AI, which means you must teach your student AI literacy, because AI will make mistakes and your students must have that critical AI literacy through which they can correct the errors. So they must have the judgment that we have been talking about. ठीक है, जिसकी जजमेंट होती है वो सुपीरियर होता है. तो यू मस्ट बी सुपीरियर टू AI because you must have that ability to judge it. So to summarize, in another work I came up with these principles. AI is both a blessing and a burden. It should inspire originality, not standardize student voice. Another thing is we use AI to support learning as an iterative journey, not as just a one-step thing. You teach your students to, for example, people who now write essay, they show that, this is where I started from, these are the prompts I gave. So this is a summary of the principles we have for AI augmented learning. These are related to the ideas we have discussed in the course. So the first principle is, it is both a blessing and a burden at the same time. So we must look for opposing values and we should see how we can maintain originality and not homogenize the student voice. So if everyone starts to follow and implement and copy AI's output, everything and everyone would look the same. So we want to maintain the human individuality. The second principle you see is related to supporting learning as an iterative journey. We mentioned how ihsan is a pursuit. Similarly, learning never ends. It starts from the day you are born, it continues until you leave the world. In a similar fashion, we must continue, we can use AI and technology to scaffold our learning. Scaffold means to provide support for something. And shortcut is where you directly take a thing towards the output without actually going through the process. As we have covered in our lectures, going through the process is actually meaningful and it helps you learn. So when you go directly to the output, you are bypassing your learning as well. So we must resist that urge. Principle 3 is we should, because it depends on how you use AI. As a person who is designing the use of AI in their classroom, it depends on how you want AI to be used in your classroom. So we should think of ways in which social interaction is still maintained. And it's not like everyone is sitting separately and there is no interaction and the social interaction is disrupted. Principle 4 is related to the integrity of knowledge and whether some knowledge is authentic or not. For many things related to knowledge, it depends on whether something is truthful or not. If you're writing a creative non-fiction, or if you're writing a creative fictional story, it can be an imaginative world. But in a real world, when you're talking of facts, you must have authentic factual information. This becomes very important if we are dealing with sacred or sensitive domains. So in Islamic scholarship, we must base our knowledge or whatever conclusions we are drawing on authentic traditional knowledge. This is called epistemic integrity. Epistemic in the sense of the knowledge you are creating, integrity in the sense that it is related and connected to the traditional knowledge. And through this we need to talk of isnad and think of how our traditional model of isnad, what it means in the modern era. This is something that we need to think about. Principle 5, balancing orality versus literacy. Keeping learning embodied and experiential. This is the dialogue Socrates had when he was saying that writing will create forgetfulness in the souls of people. He was against writing, and the idea was he was emphasizing orality, where people talk to each other, and speaking and oral communication is the mode for learning. Writing or literacy has its own plus points. The real thing is we balance both of these, orality and literacy, writing and oral communication. And the reason why we need both is because learning is embodied and experiential. So, for example, if you experience something, you cannot translate everything you have experienced into words, right? So some of it is within your own self. It can be observed in your behavior, but you might not be able to express it. We talked of such tacit knowledge even in the professions. So in all fields, we must strike the right balance between written communication and going to the experts and looking to wise people, to mentors, to guide us. Principle 6 is that we must use automation with intention, because if we outsource our thinking to AI, it can make it counterproductive to us. There is in educational psychology, there is something called desirable difficulties. Actually, some difficulties are desirable because those difficulties make the students grow stronger. So automation makes everything automatic. So you are depriving the students of struggling through something that is productive for them. But if you make it too much of a struggle, then it becomes back-breaking for the students. So you need to find the right balance of automation with the desirable difficulties we mentioned. The last thing is, in dealing with language, with ethics, with politics, we must take the multiplex approach, the multi-layered approach, and know that there are multiple levels we can analyze something. So we should use AI in service of what matters most, which is the social connection, understanding, purpose, meaning, wisdom. So Alhamdulillah, we have now come to the end of the course. So I have many resources related to it. I'm just going to share 3 papers I wrote, which are available on ResearchGate. If you want, you can look them up on the internet. Many of the ideas I've expressed are written here, not all ideas, but if you are interested, you can email me and I can share more resources. So Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of the course, and before we finish, if there are any questions, any comments, clarification, if you'd like to request for any resource or anything, let me know, and after that inshallah we can conclude. Inshallah we'll finish. Alhamdulillah alladhi bi ni'matihi tatimmu as-salihat wa bi fadlihi tatanazzalu al-khayrat wal barakat وبتوفيقه تتحقق المقاصد والغايات. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you all.
Donate us to bring change in society and make a meaningful impact. Account number 322630100005753. Faisal Bank Limited. Follow us to stay connected and see the difference you're making.